if it was a northerner that was president, would you be talking this way? And I asked for a reason.
I did talk this way when President Buhari was there.
No.
Rufai, where were you?
I have facts. Doctor, sir, I deal with facts. I have facts for you. And facts are very hard. In 2019...
Okay, please, let me have them.
In 2019, the ACF, Arewa Consultative Forum, declined support for only Buhari, but they said they will support other northern candidates vying for presidency. Yes. So that's why I asked.
Now that's the ACF.
If it was
wait a minute.
If it was a northerner that was as president, would you be talking this way?
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. If you want the ACF's position, then you should get the spokesman of the ACF to answer that question. I, as Usman Bugaji, has not made that statement, and I don't believe, and I've made it very clear, that while inclusion is important, I do not insist that a president must come from a particular part of the country, beyond the fact that we should make sure that we prioritize competence, we prioritize character, we prioritize the courage to do the right thing.
So, I asked you the first question, sir. I asked you the first question. If it was a northerner that was president, would you be saying all of this? Because see, you can talk about competence. We all talk about competence. And when you look for competence, there are people in every region in this country that are competent enough to be president, from the north to the south. So it's not a want of...
I said.
No, hang on a minute.
Every part of this country
it's not a want of competence. But there's also an unwritten rule that says, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. The north does XYZ term, the south does XYZ term.
I don't believe in that, Rufai.
So I'm asking you...
I don't believe in scratching backs.
If it was a northerner that was president, would you still talk this way? I believe in development too. I'm on your side on development. But if it was a northerner that was president, would you still talk this way?
But Rufai...
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you have really followed what I've been saying. During the time of Buhari, I was at the forefront in criticizing the way he was ruling. And in 2019, I didn't support him. In 2023, I didn't even support APC. I made it very clear. So the point I'm making is that, yes, there are people who say the kind of things you are saying, but I'm not one of them. I have my own view. I have my own understanding. I'm a northerner. And I care for the North. And I feel every part of this country should be developed. Otherwise, we cannot have peace. In fact, you have to go global. And you know this very well, that a lot of global institutions are trying to reduce inequality around the world, the climate change, because whatever happens to one part of the world is going to affect the other part of the world. The globe has become a village. So the point I'm making is, let us not continue with this conversation of North and South. Let us change the conversation and start a new conversation about how do we get competent people with character and courage to run this country.
Real quickly, before I leave, is it that you will now support an Atiku Abubakar? Do you believe he can get the job done with all these traits and characteristics? Because I know you have closeness to Atiku Abubakar.
In 2023, I supported Atiku Abubakar because of all the candidates that came out. He was the one that I thought was going to do it.
So you're an Atiku man. It. Is it safe to say you're an Atiku man?
That's my own choice. And everybody has his own choice.
And because Atiku will probably run in this election against Tinubu.
Wait a minute.
You're pushing your man?
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
Rufai.
Yes, sir.
Rufai, listen to me. I'm not an Atiku man. I'm not anybody's man. When I was in ACN, Atiku left and I remained. If I was his man, I would have left with him. All right. So I'm my own person. Okay. And I don't believe in anybody's man. I believe that people should have the courage of their own conviction. And therefore, I'm not going to be anybody's man.
But if Atiku runs again, would you support him, sir?
I will support him. It doesn't matter who he is.
If Atiku runs again...
Hello, say it again.
If Atiku runs again in 2027, would you support Atiku Abubakar?
No. In fact, what I have been saying, if you have been listening, is that this idea of supporting one candidate with whatever combination of balancing of the ticket to go into the villa, to lock the gates, and then the wife will become the Queen Elizabeth I, and the children will become some prince and princess of Saudi Malak and start behaving the way. This is outdated. We must not allow this country to fall into the hands of this kind of people. I would rather, and I'm not talking about Atiku here, I'm talking about all of them. I would rather we do a collegiate leadership where we get the best and the brightest, and there are a lot of them in this country, to come forward and salvage their country. That's my view.
Thank you very much.
And I've expressed this view openly in so many places.
All right, thank you.
I'm not going to support someone because he has been an old politician who has been around for some time and then a combination of... I am not. I've made this point very clear.
All right.
Saying now that this idea of one good turn deserves another, the South will do 8 years, the North will do 8 years, is already off the table. Because that was the general refrain that the South will be allowed to finish their term. So does the North want to vie for presidency in 2027 and break the rhythm? Is there anything we ought to know as regards that, sir?
Well, Rufai, I think this is a very familiar conversation in the last 25 years. But I think so much has changed that that kind of conversation is actually outdated. Yes, politics is about popular participation. Yes, inclusion is very important. Yes, people need to make sense or have good reasons to be able to participate. But I think what has happened in the last 25 years is the fact that we have tried these kind of models of North and South and this and that, and the country is only going down the drain. So I think it is time to start a new conversation, to start rethinking how can we have democracy with development. We're having democracy with all these things of North and South and East and West and whatever you have, and the country is not developing. If anything, it's actually de-developing. It is going down the drain. All the indices of development are, taking a nosedive. So I would rather say, while yes, it's important that we recognize and every part of this country and become inclusive, but I think we would be losing out on the challenges that are facing us if we continue with all the problems we have to start talking about North and South. I would rather be part of a new conversation that's, start thinking about what team do we require that can fix this country that is about to break down, that is about to be run aground by reckless and irresponsible politicians who have held power in the last 25 years. And they are not ashamed of the fact that they have not performed well. And they are still talking about, ambitions. Everybody has an ambition to be this, ambition to be that. People are talking about their turn and their turn. And what have you done with those turns? You are destroying this country. We can't continue with these kind of conversations. Yes, like I said, we have to recognize everybody. We have to include everybody. We have to consult. But this should not deteriorate to a level where we start looking at turn-by-turn kind of presidency, or we start looking at this, or become fixated with this formula of North and South. And some people say, oh, this tribe has not had its chance, so they have to have their chance. Okay, those tribes who have had their chance, what have they done? So is it a tribal matter in the 21st century? Right. Please.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Maguji. But my immediate question to you is, why now? I don't think you were this fervent, or the ACF was this fervent when it was said to be the turn of the North. And I believe this concept of turn by turn was done in such a way as to ensure that everyone in Nigeria is well represented. Why is it that it's now that it's the turn, let me use the word, of the South, that the Northerners realized that, or at least the ARA Consultative Forum realized that it shouldn't be turn by turn, it should be by who ought to be there. And I want to ask you if you agree with what the National Publicity Secretary of the ACF said. He said that in 2015, and I'm quoting directly, we were sold a dummy of anti-corruption. We were sold a dummy of many things, and people have realized that it wasn't true. Do you agree with this statement that in 2015 you were sold, what could he be said in his words, as the dummy of anti-corruption?
Yeah, it's a little better than last time.
Okay, I'll try to project my voice so you can hear me a bit clearer. I'd asked you in summary, just asked you questions around why now? Why didn't you express this position when the North benefited from the turn-by-turn arrangement? And I believe that turn-by-turn arrangement came about as a result of making it fair and equitable so that at least Nigeria is represented at that national level. Why now? Why is it now a bad idea?
Okay. For me, this is not the first time I started talking about it. I talked about it from 2019 through to 2023. Before then, even from 2015, I have consistently said Buhari's presidency was a disaster. And there are so many other ways that, things that he did by putting too many Northerners in the security sector for no benefit at all from the North. And I thought Buhari's experience is itself sufficient evidence that this idea of putting somebody from one part of the country to become president doesn't really work. It doesn't make sense. Because what do you want him to do? To favor his own part of the country and to abandon others? This is very naive, to say the least. So the point I'm making is that you can achieve inclusion and not at the expense of development. One way to do it, for example, there is no part of the country that has any monopoly of competence. There are competent Nigerians among the southwest, among the southeast, among the south-south, northeast, northwest, north central. Why don't you pick those competent Nigerians from the different parts of the country to fix and run your country? Why do you go for people who are barely educated, people who are crooks, people who clearly have no idea of where to take this country, who cannot engage the world, who don't even understand? All they know is primitive consumption and primitive accumulation and very perverse tastes and consumptions and just simply running the country down. So if this is why I said inclusion is a very, very critical aspect of governance. And you can achieve that and still achieve development by bringing more competent people. There are technocrats who can fix the energy sector, who can fix the transportation sector, who can improve all the infrastructure. The few that have come into government have been elbowed out. Some of them have been chased out of government because corruption will not accept the kind of thing that they want to do. And I feel very sad. I mean, we, and quite a number of Nigerians, and by the way, across the board, not just the north, the east, the west, we stood up to the military during the time of Abacha. We fought for democracy. But this is not the kind of democracy we want to see. We want a democracy that takes cognizance, of competence and recognizes knowledge in the 21st century as the greatest capital and try to mobilize. And Nigeria has a lot of these talents, has a lot of competent people. Why don't we bring them into governance? Why don't they lead the process? Why do we need some politicians who don't understand the world in the 21st century, who have no record of doing anything, competent anywhere, and all their life is life of sleaze and corruption, and because they've accumulated money through those corrupt practices, then they buy everybody off, and now we have a National Assembly that is literally for sale. Only money. I mean, they cannot stand up to the president on anything. And so this is the point. I think we have to change the conversation because we need a new narrative, and we have to be constantly aware, and I keep repeating this fact, that 2030, just another 5 years from now, we're going to be 300 million. Already today, we have more than 33 million people on the verge of starvation. These are United Nations bodies that are quoting these figures. We have a deficit in grains alone for last year, more than 30 million metric tons.
Now this one, P Square, in those days, P Square say, do me, I do you, God not the verse. If you do me, I do you, God not the verse. Now, do me, I do you, God not the verse, man the verse. Buhari don't do you, it don't go. Heaven not come down. Now, Tinubu they do you, heaven won't come down. Igbo man never even do you. Buhari did there, Buhari do 8 years, 8 solid good years. You set this country backwards, 60 years backwards. Now, it was alright too. It did first year, the country was not good. It did first year, it was still able to get away with the second term. It did second term, problem. Now, Tinubu is just doing 2 years. And the damage has already been done and is still going on. So, when I don't do now, Tinubu will do it 4 years. Then, 2 of Unana don't feel this country. These two regions don't feel this country woefully, especially the north. Now, don't feel this country woefully, no doubt. Yoruba man down, they do their own. Yoruba man will do it. If he like, he will set this country backwards 100 years. Then, we will contra Igbo man. Moku see Igbo man, if you like, take the country backward for 100 years or 200 years, no issue, because not be you starting. Which I even think Igbo man, for example, Igbo man not go even feel reach the north. Igbo man not go feel reach this the Yoruba where they rule us now. You know understand? So even if you give Igbo man president today, then failed, they not commit any crime because the northerners don't fail many times. The Yoruba now that they fail, they go. So if you give Igbo man to fail. Law, no crime. They never commit any crime. If they don't do their own, everybody don't, all the region don't fail. That time, since we don't want to divide this country, make everybody go. That time, all the regions will come sit down, come talk about it. Say, no, This country will not continue like this. Since they don't want competent people, they don't want people who actually have what it takes to move this country forward. They prefer to give it to illiterates. They prefer to give it to those who does not even have the qualification, who does not have the qualifications, the certificate, who forge certificate to get through. So they said they are the one who is able, because they say they are strategic. They are strategic when it comes to planning. They are master planner. Now they are failing. They go despite their planning. They are master strategic. They are failing. So we'll give them all this talk now. When they talk, so now we'll talk 2 years, see file. Then 2027, when you relax, so give it man. I don't care who that Igbo man will be, but when you give it to Igbo man, if he like, make it fail 100 years, take this country backward, no problem. Law, you not commit any offense, because other region don't feel ready. If they fail, before we consider and say, okay, we know we'll continue like this. Not one region not will do it, the other region do it, make the other one not do it. Now waiting they do now. Waiting they do now. See, let's be honest here. Have you not noticed? Truth be told, have you not noticed since day one when Tinubu entered this government, people has never stopped talking. Day one when he said subsidy gone on that inaugural speech, that subsidy gone had caused a lot of problems that the country is still going through today, 2 years after, or going to 2 years now. 50% of Tinubu's administration gone already, and this problem continue. People have never stopped talking about this government in a negative way. People has never stopped criticizing this government in a negative way, home and abroad, internationally. They never stop. So how do you tell me that with all this criticism, nothing, nobody is saying anything apart from the APC members as we speak now, that sees what Tinubu is doing, that sees he's doing well. No other party is saying it. Is it not? Didn't you understand that there is a problem in this administration? There is a problem. There is. So it's not. They Northerners. You fail. You guys should just hide. You guys shouldn't be the one criticizing, heavily criticize of Tinubu's government at the North. Meanwhile, they are the one who has failed this country woefully. The most corrupt people. If you want to count 10 most corrupt politicians in this country, count any other region, you must count the Northerners, many of them. Count the president, the Northerners, John. Count people who held the serious positions in this country, Northerners, John. What do you guys want? What? All the power, all the failures, all the posts that you guys had over the years that you guys could not do nothing with. Is it today that you realize that when they give it to you today, that you are going to make use of it judiciously? You are going to do this? Where is the assurance? There's no assurance. There's no assurance that he giving you guys power goes back to the North this time, that is going to be better than what you guys have done before. We still going. Who is that person that you guys are bringing to represent the North? If power wants to goes back to the North, is it rufai that he's calling Tinubu now Pablo? Is it that one that have been accused many times, allegedly, that have been accused many times of bringing Boko Haram to this country in collaboration with Buhari? Is it that same man that have been allegedly accused of money laundering how many times? Is it the one? Who? Is he the other one? Governor? If I don't want to be mentioning their names. There are many. Is it they say Atiku that Obasanjo said Atiku is the worst? He's the worst thing to ever be the president of this country. Abia Obasanjo talk say he not trust, despite the fact that Obasanjo Atiku was his advice, but he does not trust Atiku. Atiku is capable of selling this country. Is it the same person that want to move this country forward? Who is the other person? Who? You guys are failure. I said to now failure now. So for me, instead made this power goes back to the North again by 2027, whether they do everything or not. 2027, 2033, 2027, 2032. Instead make power even for me. If I have the power, everything to do it, the Northerners not go smell that position. They not go smell it. I tell you, they not go smell it if I have the power. Because there's no assurance that they are going to do well with the power. Their citizens already crying. They don't even want it, that they are the problem of this country. If you cannot look after your children, who is going to look after your children? If you fail looking after your children, is it who is going to look after your children for you? Nobody. So the Northerners have the opportunity to be the father of their children as the leader of the country, to better the lives of their citizens, to give them a better life, but they failed. So you are blaming another person of your failure. One better just behave. If I have the power, instead make power even go back to the north. May you be say no president for this country.